In this presentation, I would like to give you some information regarding gifted and talented students. The purpose of this presentation is to show how teachers, parents, and schools can help these students thrive during their academic career. The goal of every school is to educate their students and to show growth in education. Each student is different and has their own set of needs. In particular, gifted and talented students have their own set of needs that require special attention from teachers. Giftedness is a term that has many different meanings. Moreover, giftedness can be interpreted differently from state to state. Giftedness can be described as a person who shows extraordinary ability for high levels of performance when young, and, if provided appropriate opportunities, demonstrates a development of talent that exceeds normal levels of performance. It can also be described as performance that is at the upper end of the distribution relative to that of other individuals. Whatever the definition of giftedness may be, gifted students need help in cultivating their gifts so that these gifts develop into true talents. Gifted students' needs aren't all the same. Each of them requires their own special plan for cognitive and social and emotional development. Because gifted students are not all the same, neither is the identification process. Giftedness is dynamic, not static. Identification of gifted students needs to occur over time, with multiple opportunities to exhibit gifts. One test at a specific point in time should not dictate whether someone is identified as gifted. Standardized tests are often a tool used to identify gifted and talented students. However, no test is 100% reliable, and therefore test scores should be taken in context. Other means of identification, like portfolios, performances, observations, and parent input, should be taken into consideration when identifying students as gifted. Multiple factors in identification are imperative, as is identification at an early age. Early identification in school improves the likelihood that gifts will be developed into talents. It is also important not to compare students in different subgroups. For instance, a low-income student might have great cognitive abilities, but quite possibly hasn't been given equal opportunities to develop their gifts. This student should not be compared to one who has been given these opportunities and kept out of a gifted and talented program. Underrepresentation of minorities is a problem in identification of gifted and talented students. It is important for teachers and administrators not to keep students out of gifted and talented programs because of inaccurate comparisons or because of teacher bias. Traits of gifted students can either be observable or not. Observable traits in students may include traits such as being unusually active and alert, learns quickly, shows an excellent memory, uses advanced vocabulary, engages in wordplay, mimicry, and storytelling, enjoys solving puzzles with numbers, words, and images, excels at improvising ways to solve problems, thinks in abstract, complex, insightful, and creative ways, responds to and demonstrates strengths in the arts, focuses intensely on a single or varied interest at the same time, is highly inquisitive and asks probing questions, insists on doing things his or her way, yet can be loyal and modest, manifests deep, intense feelings and emotional reactions, is concerned with truth, equity, and justice, displays a keen sense of humor, at times better understood by adults, maybe lives in his or her own world, and exhibits a vivid and precise imagination. Keep in mind that these are only some of the traits that gifted students might display. Parents can help in identifying traits that they see at home. However, gifted students are not all alike, and it is important for teachers to understand that even among gifted students, there are differences. Just like all students, gifted students shouldn't receive the same instruction as that of their peers or even other gifted students. Each child is different and requires their own plan. Continuous progress in school is the key for gifted and talented students. While there may be observable traits that are common in gifted students, often gifted students are socially and emotionally different from their peers. Asynchronous development occurs when children develop socially, and intellectually at different rates. Students may be wise beyond their years, but still behave their numerical age socially and emotionally. Teachers and parents need to take this into consideration when handling the needs of their gifted children. Gifted students may suffer from an extreme fear or failure of perfectionism. Because they are gifted, they may put extremely high expectations on themselves. And when a challenge or struggle comes along, they may lose self-worth. On the flip side, teachers may unwittingly diminish a gifted student's self-worth by praising them for work that they have not put much effort forth. One way giftedness may show itself is through intensities. There are 5 identified intensities known as psychomotor, sensual, intellectual, imaginational, and emotional. Psychomotor students are always moving. They are big talkers and may drum or tap on their desks. Quite often, these students are mistaken as having a hyperactive disorder. Sensual students are observant and well aware of their surroundings. They experience taste, smell, touch, sight, and sound at heightened elevation. Any variance of one of these senses may be too much for them. Intellectually intense students display high levels of thinking. They think about what they learn and analyze it. Students with this intensity love to learn and research more about topics of interest. Imaginational students can often be described as not living in our world and confuse truth and fiction. Because of this, they could be mistaken for a liar. Emotionally intense students are more sensitive and feel emotions on a deep level. They show great empathy and have vivid memories associated with feelings. For students with intensities, there are several recommendations. One recommendation is bibliotherapy. Bibliotherapy is a way for students to recognize characters like themselves so they can feel some sense of normalcy. Other recommendations for gifted and talented students with intensities include compacting the curriculum to avoid wasting time teaching what they already know, differentiating and extending what is taught to accommodate varied pacing and levels of development, and using high-interest content and hands-on activities to create high engagement and creativity. As mentioned, there are other research recommendations for gifted and talented students. Compacting is one such recommendation. Compacting curriculum allows children to bypass what they already know to avoid wasting time and instead allows for differentiation and extensions of topics. Furthermore, homogeneous grouping can be a benefit for gifted students. This type of grouping allows gifted students to collaborate with like-minded peers. Many false myths surround homogeneous grouping. Critics claim that such grouping is bad for students because the student may not know how to act around peers, or that being around those their own age is the best way to treat them, or that such grouping creates a competitive and detrimental learning environment. However, it has been shown that students who are grouped homogeneously work in safe environments amongst those who are like-minded. Gifted students should be able to collaborate with like-minded peers regardless of chronological age. They have opportunities at lunch, recess, and extracurricular activities to interact with peers their age. Furthermore, when students are in a challenging environment, teachers can better serve their needs of acceleration and curriculum compacting, as well as their social and emotional needs. Finally, homogeneous groups also provide healthy competition. They learn how to handle frustrations and emotions that are associated with this along the way, instead of getting into a challenge later in life and not knowing how to handle it. Finally, turning to motivation and underachievement. Many people believe that a gifted student must always be a high achiever. However, this is not always the case. Lack of motivation can often lead to underachievement. This may be caused by several factors such as lack of interest in a topic, lack of challenge, home life, low self-concept, lack of choice, or not feeling safe or valued at school. If the student doesn't value what you are studying or there is something they already know, they won't be motivated to learn the material or perform. They also may not value school and would like to learn in a different way. There are several ways to help build motivation and combat underachievement. Developing a supportive environment and teaching style greatly benefits gifted students. Acceleration is also a great way to combat underachievement. Acceleration may be in one content area, or it might be an entire grade level acceleration program. This decision will be made regarding the individual student's needs. The 5 C's were created for teachers to help motivate students. They are control, choice, challenge, complexity, and caring. Students want to feel a sense of self control or self determination in their learning. They will be more invested if they feel like they have this. Choice in process, content, or environment also plays a large factor in student motivation. It allows them to be in charge of their learning. Gifted students also enjoy challenges. When something is easy, it is not fun, and they don't need to put much effort forth or time into it. Complexity ties into challenge and control. Gifted students prefer tasks that require higher level thinking and thought. They enjoy something different than the routine worksheet. The last C is caring. Gifted students who feel like their teachers care about them are more motivated to work for them and learn from them. Even just listening to a student talk about their hopes, dreams, or fears without advice goes a long way. The education of the gifted student takes a village, so to speak. Parents, teachers, guidance counselors, and gifted coordinators must all collaborate and work towards the best interest of the child. Staying connected and advocating for gifted education are some of the best ways to help gifted students. Parents need to connect with other parents and create support groups. Additional teacher training in the area of gifted studies will help teachers to help their students, because gifted and talented students often end up in a regular classroom or depend on regular classroom teachers for referrals for gifted education programs. It is crucial that all teachers have a basic understanding of how to identify and work with gifted students. And coordinators and counselors need to create opportunities for gifted students in the school. Furthermore, making learning acceptable in the school environment will help impact gifted students positively. Gifted and talented education is something that many times gets overlooked in the education world. It is a disservice to these students not to meet their cognitive and social emotional needs. The education of a gifted child truly takes a village, and with advocacy comes acceptance and understanding.